Salve, and welcome. Today we are in John chapter 2, taking a look at verses 18 and 19, finishing off this page. Here is our rubric, everything we're looking for as we go through this text. Let's go ahead and get started. Responderunt ergo Iudai, et dixerunt ei, quod signum ostendis nobis, quia haec facis, respondit Iesus, et dixit eis, solvite templum hoc et in tribus diebus excitabo illud. And that's as far as we're going to make it today. Our very first word is our verb, and this one is clear in its tense. You've got erunt as our ending, which we know is a third person plural of the perfect tense. And it's active and indicative. This is one of those third conjugation verbs where the present stem and the perfect stem are identical, so sometimes it's difficult to figure out what they actually are. Not in this form. So we know we need a plural subject. Taking a look ahead, ergo, that doesn't work, that just means therefore. Iudai, that one works. We've got a conjunction here with a verb immediately after it, so this is the only option for our subject. This I right here is nominative, plural, masculine. It's Jews. The Jews responded, and I need to close this quote off. Sorry about that, because clearly new clause going on here. Et and dixerunt, same ending right there off of dico, a verb we've seen many times before, no need to parse it. Said, ei, another thing we've seen many times before, no need to parse that either. To him, him being Jesus, direct quote, and then we have quod. Quod could be one of two things. It could be either the word because, or it could be from qui quod, so we need to take a look at the greater context to figure out which of those two options makes the most sense. So we move on. Signum, here is our ending, and this is a neuter word, so it could be nominative or accusative. Ostendis, here is our verb. Is is going to be our ending, and since it's a second person, signum, that is, does not make sense as our subject, so the object is the most likely option. Accusative, singular, neuter. Ostendis, second person, singular. And ostendo, ostendere. Since it's ist rather than isti, we know that this is going to be a present tense off of the present stem, which is, I think, it's identical to the perfect stem. So it's the person here that tells us what stem this is, in this case, just like this one. Active, indicative, and this means show or hold out, display. Now, taking a look back at this, because you show a sign doesn't really follow from the context beforehand, so having this as a relative, or I guess it would actually be an interrogative, makes the most sense. Same case, because that's quis quid. Actually, that is a problem. This, I think, should be quid, but maybe not. This is a question. Yeah, this should be an indirect question, which means this should be quid. I think this might be an error. I'll have to check the text. If it is an error in me typing this out, then I'll put a note here. If not, well then, curious. But anyway, what sign do you show nobis? This is going to be dative, plural, no gender, to us, from nos, quia. And here we come to another instance where it might be just like this one before, where it could mean that, or it could mean because. This appears to be another direct discourse. I'm going to hold off on translating that, take a look ahead. Hike, from hik, hike, hawk, right there. That could be nominative singular feminine or nominative or accusative plural neuter. This is here tells us the same form as this one, so I'm not going to parse it. Just going to draw that over. This means this one's a direct object. Therefore, accusative plural makes the most sense. Neuter. These. I'm going to put the word things in there. Do. Now we come back to quia. So our two options are, what sign do you show to us because you do these things, or to us that you do these things? That sounds better in English. So that's our option. That ends verse 18. Change of person here, so I'm going to close our quotes and move on. Jesus, you asked there, so nominative singular, our subject, responded. And this is where we run into that problem where it could be either present or perfect. There we go. Et dixit. Since this one is perfect, I would assume perfect makes more sense here. However, we'll have to take a look at the Greek to see whether or not that's true. And said to them, a lot of things we've parsed before. Direct quote, solvite, ite here is going to be our second person plural, and it looks like it's an imperative, just like we had before with afferte and nolite. Present, solvo, solvere, soli, maybe? But present's really the only one with a proper imperative. Changing my sign. Oh well. This means to loose, loosen, that is, to free, to untie, dissolve. That's the origin of dissolve too. And break up. So, context will tell us which of these 5 options is the best. Templum, you in there could be nominative or accusative. Hoc, from hic hac hoc, could also be nominative or accusative. But we know this refers to that because that's the same gender. And it has to be accusative because this is plural. Can't be our subject. This temple. And in prepositional phrase, thriebos has to be part of a prepositional phrase, so that's not going to be a verb. Diebos appears to be the same form as thribus. So that, excitabo, this closes off our prepositional phrase. Bo is our ending, that's going to be first person singular future. And it is active and indicative. I shall, and this one means rouse up or rise up, raise up. Ilud, from they, ilud, are further demonstrative. Since it's ilud, we know this is neuter, which means it's referring back to the temple. And it is accusative, singular, neuter. And I'm going to say it. Well, there could be a contrast going on here. That doesn't make much sense. What that would be is we would have loosen, or free, untie, dissolve, break up this temple, and I shall raise that up. However, since the same subject appears to be referred to by both of these, weird, that translation doesn't work. Now coming into in tribus debus, diebus, in takes either the ablative or the accusative. Both of these are obviously not accusative, so they have to be ablative. plural, feminine. This means in, 3, or on, 3rd. But, tres, primus, secundus, tertius. 3rd does not work because this is the wrong word. This is a cardinal rather than an ordinal. So that's right. Okay, there we go. That's all of our text. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in its own context. Therefore, Jews responded and said to him, "What sign do you show to us that you do these things?" Jesus responded and said to them, "Loosen, free, untie, dissolve, break up." That's going to be break up. This temple, and in 3 days I shall raise it up. There we go. Now we want to look at it in its greater context. From verse 13. Still on the screen. Good. And Passover of Jews was near, and Jesus climbs or ascends up to Jerusalem, and discovered in temple those selling oxen and sheep and doves, and money changers sitting. And when he had made a sort of whip from cord, remember, small cord, he threw out all from temple, sheep also and oxen, and poured out small change of money changers, and overturned tables. And to them who were selling doves, he said, take away those despicable things from here, and don't make home of my Father home of business. Truly, disciples recollected, his disciples, that it is written, "Zeal of your home or house consumes or consumed me." Therefore, Jews responded and said to him, "What sign do you show to us that you do these things?" Jesus responded and said to them, "Break up this temple, and in 3 days I shall raise it up." And there we go. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope taking a look at this has been helpful for you. And that reminds me of one other thing that I forgot to mention, and that is where there we go. This is quoted from, and this is from Psalm 69, verse 9, and it's only the first half of the verse, so you should definitely take time to go and look up the rest of the verse, and in fact the entire psalm. Because usually when Jesus is quoting something, he pulls out the particular verse that applies to the situation at hand, whatever it may be, but the entire thing, the context of what he's quoting, is very important to understanding what he means by that. Or maybe not, but I'm not aware of a specific instance where only the one verse applies. But there you have it. Thank you very much for joining me. Wale.
Hey, not asleep yet? That's okay. I've got tons of other equally sleep-inducing videos for you to watch. Check them out.